What's happening, Hardscapers? Today we're going to talk about cutting porcelain. Let's get into this. All right, we've got this porcelain patio in the back here, and we're going to be doing quite a few cuts. So in that last porcelain patio we did, it was all straight cuts, and I'll show you how I actually went about cutting those ones and getting a perfectly straight line using a 4-foot level and our little 9-inch Milwaukee saw there. This is what I found to be the best way to cut porcelain here so far, is having 2 clamps on a 4-foot level. This is a 4-foot piece, so 4-foot level, and clamping it on my cut right along the line, and then using that as a guide, and my saw here, my 9-inch battery powered Milwaukee with a porcelain blade on it, and just running it along here, giving it a first score, and then taking my time running up and down it to get that nice clean cut. And we've got our cuts here. Sometimes you can get chips, from what I've heard, with cutting the porcelain, and flakes along the cut. This has worked perfectly. I don't see any flaking, any chips, so this is working well. But for this one, we're gonna have tons of cuts. We've got cuts along the steps here. We've got cuts coming along here. What I like to do for these is, especially when we're building a wall, is lay past the wall, and then I can follow the line of the wall and draw my line based off of that, giving myself about a quarter of an inch, because we do want a little bit between the wall and the porcelain. And then I'll start with a score. And what I'm going to be using for this scoring is the Milwaukee 9-inch. Doing my first pass at the score. It's also much lighter, so it's a lot easier to control and a lot easier to get that perfectly straight line without using that level. And then I'm going to continue with this 14-inch porcelain blade. We're going to be using this, and this has no pattern to it, but it's got the diamonds in it and there's no segments. So we're going to continue with that through this. Actually, I'm going to try this without using the 9-inch to score, just to see how well it does with not leaving flecks around the edge that we cut. Like that. This blade doesn't seem to be doing the trick. It sparks a lot more, and it just seems to kind of burn through, and the chips are really bad. Now this saw needs to be tuned up, because I can tell it was wobbling just a little bit, which a lot of those chips are probably coming from the wobble, but still just seems to be burning through this. And you can see there's actually a bit of a difference. I used this on the last job and it gave me no problem. Sometimes with porcelain, when you're cutting, especially with the wrong blade, you'll get flecks off the edge of them. This one did amazing. This is a rigid 7-inch, and it was on this 9-inch machine. And then we've tried this one, and you can see it has a different pattern compared to the rigid sort of diamond pattern there. It's got waves, but it's still not segmented like a typical paver concrete saw blade. And now this is what it looks like to use a concrete blade. You can see those chips are really bad. In this one, I'll show you how well of a job that did. So I started using the 9-inch Milwaukee to cut this, and you see it works really well. That was with the other saw blade, which I'll leave a link in the description for that, but I don't see, just barely minor one there, but for the most part, this is as smooth as you're gonna get for a cut on porcelain there. This one's gonna be going in that post there, so I have to finish off that. Problem with the 9-inch Milwaukee is batteries. You definitely want the fast charging attachment tool to be able to charge the batteries, I think in 15 minutes. I don't, and I also have only one heavy duty battery, so that's kind of given me some problems with having to constantly charge. One reason why I don't like it, but I'm also ill-equipped because I should have that fast charging port there for my Milwaukee. Okay, when cutting in place, I found that that rigid blade actually does a lot better than the yellow one that I showed, but cutting in place is a little bit more difficult because I found that if you do a deep cut on both edges and then you pass through and pass through and pass through, those passes that if you're a little bit off, you'll leave those very, very microscopic chips, flakes on the edges. But if you do your first pass and then you come back and then you go deep, so deeper on this edge, deeper on that edge, do your entire pass as deep as you can go without putting a lot of pressure on the blade, and then come back and then go entirely through the entire thing, you reduce the amount of times that your blade might just slightly be off your initial cut and might chip. That's where these chips these flakes more so, not chips, very small, almost unnoticeable, really come from, was when I was off a little bit. Now, cutting it with the 4-foot level, the way I was doing before this, that reduces the amount of chances that you're going to be off on your cut because you're constantly following that level, which I think is the best way to go about this. And in this case, when cutting in place, it gets a little bit more difficult to be able to follow your passes. It's the diamond pattern blade that seems to do the best. That other blade, I'm gonna have to play around with it because that did not work out as well as I wanted it to, but that might come down to my saw, and it may need some recalibration on my saw because it does seem to be slightly off with its cutting. So that demo saw didn't really work out too well as much as I had hoped it would be, but I will be playing around with that more. It's this saw blade, not this one. This pattern, diamond pattern, that seems to be doing the best type of job, as well as this saw, just because it's so lightweight and a lot easier to control to make sure that you're not off ever so slightly on your next pass going with that. So when we are marking curved cuts, it's always nice to have some 3/4 inch conduit, or if you use plastic edge restraint, also that plastic edge restraint works for this as well. And you just pick points where you're going to put some weight on either side to be able to curve it to wherever you like it. So we're coming off this step. We want it to be in line with that step. And now I'll still mark this, even though it bows out here, we're going to remark it so that it's a straight line. So you can see it comes straight, but then it bows out this way just a little bit here and then comes back in. We will put our 8-foot level on this and then make sure that's a straight line. But then wherever that 8-foot level lines up, we will start to actually start that curve. So we'll match this, and then it'll curve nicely into this edge of the wall, and that'll be our curve here. So here's something that went wrong during that cut. So Sam from Creative Landscape Depot told me, go deep on the edges, do your score, and then work your way through it. And I should have listened to that, especially because this was overhanging. This drops off over here because this is the edge of our patio. We just need 3 inches past it, and I didn't listen. And because of that, that one I learned after that, but that one was propped up by the wall block there. Because of that, and I tried to go through it, once I got to a certain point, which was here, it just fell off and cracked. And now that is a $60 mistake, which I will learn from. And I know we can buy one of those big table saws, but it's just another piece of equipment to not only invest into, maintain, and also transport around. This solution is more so for those that want to use what they have available to them. So I did find that the best way to cut was to do your line first and very shallow, just to get that score. Go deeper on the edges, but then go more than halfway through on the first pass, and then come back on that second pass and go all the way through. And the reason why is because if you try to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, it increases the chances that you might not be at the perfect exact angle that you were originally when you first cut, and you might cause this flaking to occur because of the blade coming up, coming down, and through and through and through again. But if you just do a couple passes, it minimizes the risk that that's going to happen, and then you can get a nice clean cut with your porcelain. That's how I found the best way to do it. Hey, if you found this video helpful, please give it a like. Comment below any questions that you might have and anything else that you can see with your cutting of porcelain, and subscribe to this YouTube channel for more hardscaping content like this. Thank you so much for watching.